15 Willow Street in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District, docket number 16-1708, Block 210, Lot 25, a Greek Revival-style row house built in 1834. This is an application to alter the facades and roof, construct a new bulkhead, and install new decks and mechanical units.
And the applicants will fill the opening with a glass and metal guardrail. The applicants constructed a mock-up and the rooftop bulkhead will be visible over both primary facades. And the architect is here to present the application.
Thank you, Hilda.
My name is Damien Zeno from Studio DB and represent 15 Willow. So 15 Willow was built in 1834. It's on the corner of Willow and Middaugh. By the 1860s, it was used kind of as a boarding house. There were advertisements in the Brooklyn Eagle as for rooms to let, $1.50 a week. It was then purchased by the Franciscan Order of Poor and used as kind of a mixed-use community use and housing for the nuns. Here's a historic photos, the 1840 tax photos, some photos in the middle from the mid-40s, and then some photos in the late 1950s that kind of showed a script of a lot of its detail and kind of in its current state. The juxtaposition of these two photos here show the existing condition where you can see the existing bulkhead on the roof, the blind windows, this is the photo on the left, the blind windows, the existing garage wall in the back bottom left corner, and the existing pipe railing up at the bulkhead that you can currently is very visible. The proposed on the right shows the blind windows being returned to windows, the garage wall being restored to brick. A new bulkhead, which is being set back but is taller than the existing bulkhead, has very similar sight lines, especially from the Willow Street facade. And then in the upper right-hand corner, as Hillian mentioned, because we're doing this proposed roof deck, an open window with glass behind it, and we're picking up on the vocabulary of the 3/3 at that level between that and steel. So I'll go through each of these items in detail as we go through them. So the first item to discuss is the blind windows. There's a corner building, and six of the windows are blind openings or blind windows at this time. Willow Street, though, where this stoop is the primary facade of this building, and we're proposing to kind of restore it to that grandeur. We think it creates a much more neighborly building. We believe roughly in the 1860s, when the building was converted to a boarding house, that these windows were filled in and bathrooms were put in those locations. If we look at the second photo at the top from the left, the header courses of the brick are interrupted, and so we believe that while this was done over 150 years ago, that there could have been windows in those locations at that time. But from where we just feel like it's a much more neighborly facade. And also catty corner to this, at 20 Willow is another corner building, and its corner windows are windows all the way up. Second item is this kind of unique condition in the upper right-hand corner of the Willow Street facade, where we're proposing to remove the gabled roof and a pitched roof and put a roof deck in that location. In that situation where the window is, we're proposing to put a steel and glass railing system, where the glazing would be entirely behind a 1-inch steel tube guardrail. which would pick up on the vocabulary of the 3/3 windows at that level. And we ran the glass the full height of the window so that it would have the same similar reflectivity as the windows on the rest of the facade. Another item, small item, is at the bottom. This is in this location here. This is a current window. We're proposing to put a lift, an elevator in that location, and so we're proposing to fill that window in. That window is right here, and there's another infill window with a very similar condition right about 10 feet away. So we're proposing we'd still keep it recessed in a similar lined vocabulary. And this is current condition of the garage wall. Just to be clear, it's a garden behind it, but it serves as their parking spot. And so what we're proposing is to return it to the brick, away from the stucco, to expand the opening so that it can fit more contemporary vehicles, and to put a lintel in above it, kind of in keeping of the Greek revival vocabulary in the neighborhood and in the building itself. I think there are a lot of other garages in the neighborhood, but none that were exactly a great precedent. But I think the rendering is a good indication of what we're proposing. So then the bulkhead. So we've mocked up the bulkhead. There's an existing bulkhead on the roof that serves as kind of clerestory windows. What we're proposing is to rebuild the bulkhead, set it further away from the Willow Street facade, but make it tall enough that we can put a door and have access up to the roof level. So as you can see here, this is kind of the existing bulkhead. This is the proposed bulkhead. We've set it back, but so from the street level, this is the end of Mid-Aw, which dead ends, and then goes down to the park. You can see the existing bulkhead and then the proposed bulkhead mock-up behind it. Because of the BQE and the way that the hill slopes away, it's a very exposed site. So it is a visible bulkhead, but the sight lines are very similar to the bulkhead that is existing. Additionally, we're proposing a glass handrail at that level. The existing pipe handrail, which is here, is very visible from the street. We're proposing a glass handrail, which we think will be much less visible, but we're also setting it back about 6 feet from the facade, so it's much less visible. And only at kind of when you're 150 feet away or greater do you actually see the top, say, 8 inches of that handrail. Here are additional views from Willow Street. As you go down Willow Street to the south, you do, again, this is the existing bulkhead and the proposed bulkhead. So you do see the bulkhead there. Below. There's the existing and the proposed. You can see both the existing and the proposed condition. From this view, it's a little bit taller, but it's still an existing condition that we're hoping to restore and maintain. There are other elements we're proposing to, because we don't want to extend the chimneys, we're proposing new chimneys that will be on the roof level. They're not visible from the street. This is a mock-up of that, and the view as far away as you can get where you can't see the chimneys. And then this view, overhead view, shows kind of the full extent of the work. Everything that happens down at this level isn't visible from the street, other than kind of the change that we're proposing at that window. The proposed bulkhead will be out of a matte weathered zinc, which is designed to kind of disappear into the sky. It won't reflect the sun.
Can you tell us the dimension of that door?
The door, the
height of
the total height of the new bulkhead is 8 feet, so the door is about 7'6", 7'4". After the look of the roof above it.
And what's the dimension from the roof of your bulkhead from the?
It's 8 feet above the roof. It's
8 feet above which?
if you're coming from here to here.
No, I mean the entire.
From here?
Is that the roof? Is that the actual roof?
This is the roof level here. And this is
No, I mean
the
the roof, the original.
The original roof level is at that line right there. So
okay.
basically, we're starting from here. We're going down this location, which is this
So you
picture.
cut in.
We're cutting in and then
Uh-huh.
kind of only really going up with the bulkhead itself.
And so that is what?
the total height there is 8 feet above the roof. Or from, you're saying from this
From
level?
that point.
A little less than probably 17 feet. It isn't.
And you've sloped the top of the bulkhead, right? Is that,
Correct. Because of, it's following the line of the stairs. We basically
Okay,
as
all
much
right.
as possible so it follows the pitch of the stairs.
so is it only for the stair bulkhead, or it's not for an elevator or
No, it's
something?
only for
Okay.
access up to the roof level.
Does it have to be this wide?
We've kept the width of the existing bulkhead. It would have, we don't get high enough to not do anything as it comes back, so we'd have to, but essentially,
It could be narrowed. I'm just wondering because it's prominent both from Middag as well as from Willow. But in Willow, if it's set back, yeah, if you could go back, if it's set back further, it may be just less visible, not from Middag, but from Willow. It's visible, yes.
unfortunately, the part that we would be able to step
Oh, it's
back
on the
based
other side?
design is not that side.
Well, but if you took your stair, instead of winding it continually, if you sent it north,
On other levels going down, that would have major implications, unfortunately.
well, don't change that, just change it here.
Well, but the way the stairs switch back, we wouldn't have clearance.
No, you just have to clear your powder room. And then you'd be going north, and I think you'd reduce the visibility significantly.
The way the stairs switch back, though, you have to be clearing the level below as you go up. So it's mostly at the part of the level where we run into an issue with the design.
I guess, I think what Fred is saying is that by the time you turn around and you're going, if you took the run across like that,
The very last.
then you,
Oh, okay.
right, exactly.
Go there, and then rearrange your powder room and stuff like
That
that.
would be,
And then you'd end up on the deck, facing this way, but where's the deck? Here.
yeah.
This would go here, so you'd be out here. I don't think it's a huge change. I think it would reduce the visibility significantly.
If you can look at that. Yes, Diana?
Yeah, this is a question about the one blind window that now is sort of behind the cornice at the front, I guess it is really. It looks, the renderings are very helpful, but the rendering makes it look like the building would look a little odd because now you have a transparent window into air, where before I'm not suggesting you need to have a blind window, but I'm wondering if you considered maybe having it, I don't know, I'm trying to think, darkened panes or something, just because the other windows all look sensible, so to speak, and here, it sort of unbalances the look of the building with regard to the windows, to have that one clear pane right through behind it. So I'm wondering if there's some solution to that.
I mean, we thought about that a lot. I think that ultimately we decided to go with clear glass because the reflectivity is always going to be different if we have sky behind or at night. We were open to looking at a treatment on the glass.
Do you know-
We went with the clear ultimately because we felt like the way it reflected would kind of, during the daytime, match the other windows most, where it would actually appear kind of dark because you...
So you thought it wouldn't show in the daytime that it was just a clear...
It would show less. I don't think it's going to
Yeah.
be perfect.
I think that, yeah, you should look at that, because I think even in the daytime,
The question is, what's the solution? Yeah, I don't think it should be blind, yeah.
Right, I'm not sure, especially if the entire facade is changing from blind to not blind anymore.
Yeah, that's fine.
But maybe it's a way of looking at the material. Okay. Yes, questions? Adi?
I just have a question. I just wondered if you know the history of the blinding of the windows, why they were blinded and so long ago.
Everything that we're, just as hypothesis, somewhere between the 1830s when it was built and the 1860s where we found advertisements of it being used as room for lead. We believe that those blind windows may have been filled to put bathrooms in those locations because there was much more rooms. It was less open and used as individual rooms. It's solid hypothesis, but that's what we're thinking.
Are there other questions for the applicant?
Just
Yes,
on
Roberta?
The railing, on which side is the glass railing again? And is it only on one side?
No, the
Just
glass
on one
railing,
side?
I guess here you can see it.
Is it visible?
But it really is only this location where it's visible if you're, say, 150. We do have sightline photos, but it's this sort of edge here. And
So it's
Ah.
one edge, it's not on the sides, too,
Yeah.
it's just on one,
No, but it's only visible on that front.
oh, it's that U shape.
Correct, it is U-shaped.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Okay, we'll take testimony from members of the public. Barbara Zay?
Good morning, Barbara Zagos,
It's nice.
Historic Districts Council. HDC does not object to the reintroduction of glazing on the Willow Street facade. However, our committee did find the bulkhead to be too visible and would suggest the installation of a lower bulkhead or ladder to access the second level of the rooftop terrace. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Julia Stanton.
Judy Stanton for the Brooklyn Heights Association. The proposed exterior changes call for an extensive reworking of existing built fabric and a selective restoration of certain historical elements. As presented to our committee, the proposal was premised on a number of choices about which historical elements to retain, which to restore, and which to remove. But these choices were not addressed in a holistic manner. In our opinion, the appropriateness of such an intervention must be thoroughly and substantively supported, both by historical evidence, and by a cohesive design rationale. We respectfully ask the Commission to require the applicant to undertake the following investigative work. Conduct a more complete and conclusive documentation of the specific alteration history of the building. Carry out a thorough photographic survey and historical analysis of incomparable corner lot conditions throughout the Brooklyn Heights Historic District. Provide clear and definitive documentation of the relationship of the 50-foot height limit to both existing conditions and to proposed work. Barring the presentation of better evidence
If you
and
can
a more
speak-
coherent
Ms.
argument.
Stanton, if you could speak just a little louder.
Oh, sorry. Barring the presentation of better evidence and a more coherent argument by the applicant, our committee recommends the following changes to this application. Maintain blind windows as they are, as significant character-defining and most likely original historic fabric. Redesign the garden wall and opening in a similar fashion as is evident in the tax photo, separating it from the symmetrically composed Willow Street facade, expressing the existing rear addition and reducing the height as much as possible to support only the most minimal, well-designed gate. Lower the proposed rooftop bulkhead to conform with the 50-foot height restriction. Our committee cannot support this proposal in its current form. We ask the Commission to work with the applicant to encourage the additional investigative and design work as recommended by our committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers on this item? Any more speakers? All right, if the applicant, would you like to respond to, yes, if you could come up and, yes.
I think that in approaching this project, we really felt that this Willow Street being the primary facade, that these blind windows kind of presented a kind of a closed wall to that facade, and so we felt that the windows really did. I don't know. Hopefully that they are historical. And we've done the research that we felt we could. We did look at fire maps, which the Historical Society asked us to do. They don't provide any further evidence. We've surveyed the neighborhood. We obviously didn't put all of the precedent photos that can support cases in this presentation, but we have done a very thorough historical research, libraries, every agency that we could that we felt we could find photos or information or old maps. I think a lot of it predates documentation, so we felt like ultimately that this presented the best facade to the street, and we're open to working with the Commission on the bulkhead. We think it's important to have access to that space.
All right, and I know that most people if they have their choice, would like to have stairs that go directly up to the top level, but have you explored other ways of getting to that level? Ladder, spiral staircase?
There is currently a ladder outside of the bulkhead, which is why the pipe rail is unsightly railing at the front facade, and kind of maintaining the sight lines of the existing bulkhead.
Right, but couldn't you come up to that top level and still have your, the
We can
glass
explore
facade? Okay, why don't you take a look at that and see if there are other ways of adjusting the orientation of the stairs, which could allow the bulkhead to be pushed further, as Commissioner Lund had recommended. All right, other questions for the applicant or comments? Okay, yes, Fred, and then.
Comments. I know this building very well, and I've always wondered why the blind windows. It's a curious building that you would think the front would be on the side street, and the side lot line, so-called, would be along Willow, but in fact it's not that way. So it's an anomaly, really, in many ways, and the number of blind windows makes it even further an anomaly. I'm convinced, though, that the argument that the applicant is putting forward, that the facade, the chief facade is on Willow Street, the long facade that we're looking at here, and therefore opening up, and you've suggested that there's evidence on the inside. I would like to be sure that the staff agrees with that evidence, that those blind windows were, at one time, at least long ago, actual windows. And so therefore, I think returning them to be windows is an appropriate gesture. The oddity of the roof terrace, then having this piece which can't be a true window, but sort of a window, providing a very wonderful view, I know, which is why you want to have that there. I think it's okay, but I can accept that. So therefore, my only issue would be what I've suggested is the bulkhead change so that it's reduced visibility, and the 50-foot height limit, I think, is critical. So I don't know that you're above 50 feet. That was unclear, but the testimony made it sound as if you might be above 50 feet. To me, that's an inviolable height limit in Brooklyn Heights that is, to my knowledge, almost never been.
Right, but I think, and if can correct me if I'm wrong, I think certain bulkheads are permitted obstructions above the height.
The existing bulkhead and the proposed bulkhead are both above that, and there are.
Is it, does the zoning allow that in terms of the? Okay, that's my sort of
Complies with zoning, then I'm right.
Okay, all right. Are there other questions? Yes.
Yes, I would just think that what we've been saying about the lowering of the bulkhead is important, and I think I would want them to do that and bring that.
That's fine. I think they can come back. Perhaps you can look at lowering the bulkhead and provide us some graphics to that. Michael, you wanted to add
A tiny
something?
detail on the garage new lintel. It looks on the drawings like it's sticking out really far. The other existing lintels I don't think they stick out that far. Just work with staff on that one.
Right.
And
Yes.
could I just add
Yes.
one more? Sorry. I know the neighborhood too well. There's a beautiful garage that was allowed to be reconstructed by this commission maybe 15 years ago. The building at 77, I think it is, Columbia Heights, which has a side on Cranberry Street. We just allowed a rooftop addition to this building. You might look at that, the detailing of that garage for some detailing, which I think is very sophisticated.
Right, yes, John?
And the other issue that I think they're going to look at is for alternate materials for the window,
For the window.
top right window.
Yes, for the top right window. Okay.
That's just a treatment of the glass. that you always-
Treatment of the glass to make it like less reflective or similar to having something, actually a room behind it. Yes, Roberta, did you?
So if we're considering Willow Street is the front of the building, is that?
Yes, Willow, so, yes.
Now, there's a window that it seems that is being taken out at the bottom, right, and blocked up. And why is that, unless you do that, or was that an original opening?
I can't get, it's hard to, none of the tax photos
Yes,
show whether or not
okay.
it's there. We're proposing to infill it because we prefer to put an elevator or a lift in that location. And that there is, the window just to the left of it is also in a very similar condition, so we're proposing to match that condition.
Okay, and the reason is because you have something behind
We
it,
have
right?
an elevator.
You have the
Yes.
elevator. Okay. All right, I just want to also state in the record that the Land Use Committee of Brooklyn Community District 2 voted unanimously to support the project. All right, thank you, then we'll bring you back. Okay, and I move to close the hearing.
So moved.